Now it's time for our Bishop's Cross Awards, and this will be the first set, but I am honored and privileged to award these two Bishop's Crosses. The first Bishop's Cross Award this year goes to Dr. Theresa H Ellefson. Dr. Ellefson is one of the most unassuming powerhouses of a person one can ever meet. Always energetic, ready to teach and learn, the woman whom we simply know as Terry has served our country and the world as an educator and expert in the field of early childhood education and child development for over 50 years. Whether in her numerous roles as an educator, administrator, or consultant in the public and private sectors, including private and public schools and universities, NGOs, city, state, and federal governments, and faith-based agencies, Terry's life has been the definition of service, organizing people for good from Laos to the White House. And yet, though her CV as a PhD chronicles a rich career, Terry has been the glue of faith at St. Matthew's in Browns Point for over 34 years, ushering the parish through three major transition periods. 17 years ago, amidst chaos in the parish with the unplanned retirement of the third rector due to health issues and mounting financial pressure from an enormous mortgage, Terry, as a vestry person and later senior warden, provided solid leadership despite desperate attitudes and chauvinistic behavior. Some of these behaviors eventually conspired to cut short her tenure as senior warden, but not before she provided some of the essential groundwork that eventually led to the parish calling its first woman as rector. 8 years later, following the unhappy departure of the fourth rector, Terry was once again called to the vestry, this time as junior warden. During this period, she provided much of the background healing and guidance that allowed the parish to weather great losses in membership, financial resources, and hope. Terry's unrelenting work ethic and positivity ensured that the parish would survive and eventually laid the path toward calling the current rector. Since reclaiming her role as senior warden in 2015, Terry has overseen and personally willed by God's grace the rebirth of St. Matthew's with the growth of families and programs, the establishment of a successful capital campaign which has since paid for a new roof and has nearly eliminated the strangling mortgage, and I believe actually that's happened now, and reclaimed hope for the parish and neighborhood alike. Additionally, St. Matthew's is more diverse, much younger, less patriarchal, and more joyful than ever. In the summarized words of one of their vestry members, quote, Terry embodies what it means to be a servant of Jesus Christ. I couldn't agree more. It's my pleasure to give the Bishop's Cross Award to Dr. Terry Ellefson, St. Matthew's, Brown Point. Terry, congratulations.
Thank you. I'm deeply touched by this honor. I know there's so many others who do wonderful works for the church. I hope that each of you, when you return to your regular work after the convention, you will share gratitude to them in the spirit of this award today. My Catholic father and Congregationalist mother went looking for a church when I was 4. I was extremely shy, and the process was resulting in tears every Sunday. My mother's friend, Mary Woods, suggested that we should try her small church, St. Andrew's Episcopal, in a little town in Illinois. And so I'm here today, in my 79th year of spinning around on this planet, being thanked for receiving God's grace, new learnings, joy, challenges, mercy, love, forgiveness, and so on. Specifically, I want to thank today my family for their support and love and always interest in what I'm doing. A special thanks to Bishop Rickel, not only for the lovely cross that's part of this honor, but for his leadership in the diocese. It was a few years ago in one of his sessions, I described St. Matthew as being at death's door. I remember he nodded his head in agreement. It was good to know we didn't need to hide when churches have troubles. And to our rector at St. Matthew, Kendall Haynes, for coming to St. Matthew when we were grieving and a sorrow-filled parish, leading us through enormous challenges and great joys, and more than a few miracles. Kendall, working with you is enormous fun. Thank you. And to the good people of St. Matthew and other churches as we face challenges, including a world pandemic, thank you for all you share in the name of love. And remember, you never know what one simple act, one simple word or sentence, or one simple invitation might stir in another person's life. And so I also thank Mary Woods.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Terry. You are very deserving of this award. The second one I'd like to award at this time, and I am quite sure I'm going to butcher their last name. I attempted to find out how to pronounce this and never got a response, so I apologize for that up front. The next award goes to Bob and Prue Cluckhone of St. Paul's, Seattle, and at the expense of continuing to butcher the name, I'll just say Bob and Prue. I guess they're going to fight over who wears the cross. But here's a little bit about them. Bob and Prue have spent decades in service to the people and the work of St. Paul's, Seattle. From the 1960s, when they became acquainted in the choir and over sinks of dirty pots and pans, to today, when they tirelessly keep church records, set up chairs and tables at community hour, bake Easter quiche, and so much more. Their service touches nearly every aspect of our communal life. Prue has served on the vestry, twice was a convention delegate, and started the Roy Street Supper Club, serving a weekly summer dinner for neighborhood seniors. In recent years, she has moved into the churchyard, surrounding the St. Paul's Labyrinth with euphoria and ornamental grasses, and organizing work parties to keep this Queen Anne jewel welcoming to the whole neighborhood. In 2010, she became head sacristan, training new sacristans in the mysteries of staging the Mass. Bob served as St. Paul's volunteer parish administrator starting in 2005, and though he expected to serve a year or two until the budget would support a replacement, he ended up working 20 to 30 hours a week until 2012, when he retired again to serve, quote, only as a greeter, lector, and parish, jack of all trades. When the church needed to upgrade its computer database, they knew where to find the off-campus data backup, in the trunk of Bob's car. Bob and Prue's work has been equally valuable outside St. Paul's. In November 1983, Bob was transferred to Vancouver, Washington, where they joined the Good Shepherd Episcopal Church. Parishioners remember Prue's alto voice in the choir, her hard work in the kitchen, and her mastery at hosting receptions and events. Later, they helped found Ascension Episcopal Parish, an Anglo-Catholic parish in Portland. In 2004, Bob retired and they moved back to Seattle, resuming their retirement ministry at St. Paul's. When asked why they'd continued their ministry of service to the parish, working so hard even after so many years, they spoke of loving to participate in the liturgy and the ritual, but agreed that mainly they love the community and the people. In these days, when we are far apart, Prue sets aside regular time to call people who don't have computer access, so can't join the digital worship services. The St. Paul's community and the parish work would not be the same without Bob and Prue, and we are all very grateful for their quiet, dedicated service among us. It is my pleasure and honor to give the Bishop's Cross this year to Bob and Prue.
Your Grace, honored delegates, we, Prue and Bob Cluckhone, also known as Bob and Prue, feel slightly overwhelmed at this unexpected honor.
Our ministry has lain largely at the parish level, although once upon a time Bob, along with other Canterburyans from the UW, did serve as page at the select election of Bishop Curtis.
Prue came to this diocese in 1967 from New Mexico, while Bob transferred from Spokane in 1969 following his military service.
We met singing in the choir at St. Paul, Seattle, were married there in 1971 during the High Mass on Sunday morning at Father Roy Coulter's urging. That may have been the first such Sunday church wedding in the diocese in modern times. Our children, Beth and Ben, were baptized at St. Paul's.
Over the years, we have been called to serve St. Paul's in many different ways. We feel blessed that through contributing to the life of the parish, we have contributed to the life of the greater church and the family of God.
Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations to Bob and Prue. I want to go to two more, and the final Bishop's Crosses that I'm going to award this year. The first one I want to do right now is Harold Orrin Anderson from St. Stephen's, Oak Harbor. Harold Orrin Anderson became an Episcopalian by confirmation in 1997. Since then, he has been active in 4 congregations. In these 23 intervening years, Harry has served in almost every possible way, served well and served faithfully at Trinity Church, Santa Barbara, St. Thomas the Apostle, Dallas, St. Augustine in the Woods, and St. Stephen's, both on Whidbey Island. Harry has invariably found himself on the vestry of each of these congregations, been a convention delegate from each, served as stewardship chair at each, chaired the capital campaign at 3 of these parishes, been the treasurer at 2 of them, and been a lector at all 4. With his husband, Terry Bible, he has been a major donor at each parish, and perhaps most remarkably, he has served as senior warden at all 4, in several instances for more than 1 term. Beyond all that, by drawing on a lifetime of experience as a journalist, Harry has generously enhanced the communication program of each parish. Notably, in his service on Whidbey Island, Harry has written and directed a play for the stewardship program at St. Augustine's entitled An Island Home Companion, which featured a segment of, quote, The Vicar of Whidbey. At St. Stephen's, Oak Harbor, Harry initiated and continues to nurture an occasional Taizé evening service. He created an outreach entertainment program that brought in local talent. Also at St. Stephen's, Harry had a significant role in the search for the new rector and wrote an exemplary parish profile. An avid and very productive gardener, Harry introduced an abundance table to both St. Augustine's and St. Stephen's. A table in the parish hall is set aside where parishioners share the abundance of their gardens. All through the typical summer and fall, parishioners make available to the parish the bounty of their gardens, vegetables, flowers, herbs, and the occasional loaf of bread or jar of jam. Harry's produce invariably adorns the table, including, of course, as the summer wears on, the predictable giant zucchinis. Clearly, in all these instances, Harry has been an instrument of grace. He's been a seasoned and wise counselor to parish clergy, and has not been at all shy about talking with congregations about the faithful use and giving of money. The Episcopal Church continues to reward Harry Anderson, and Harry continues to enjoy the companionship of our Lord Jesus in this church. It is my pleasure to give the Bishop's Cross Award to Harry Anderson.
Thank you, Bishop Rickel. I am deeply honored and humbled by this wonderful award. Ever since I gave myself to Christ and joined the Episcopal Church 24 years ago, I've been on quite a magnificent journey that has deepened my faith through learning and working with others. The journey has led me to 5 different Episcopal churches in California, Texas, and Washington. Each one has been quite unique, but also quite similar. What I have learned and keep learning is that faith grows in community. The Episcopal Church welcomed me when I needed its help the most, and I have never felt more love and acceptance than in this church. The rector at my very first Episcopal church in Hollywood, California, made a keen observation. Harry, he told me, you aren't meant to be a pew dweller. You are a leader. And of course, he was right. I've managed to join the leadership of every church I've attended, and I'm still at it today in Oak Harbor. I am happiest and most fulfilled when I'm helping our church get things done. Thank you so much for this incredible honor of the Bishop's Cross. I will treasure it as long as I live.
Thank you, Harry, and congratulations. And the final Bishop's Cross this year that I'd like to award is a little bit different. Technically, the person I'm about to give this award to is not an Episcopalian, but is definitely a Christian that has an impact and has had a great impact on our body and on our church. And there is some personal connection here in what an impact she made in my family, and especially with my son, Austin. Many of you know her and love her. And I will tell you at the end another reason why this is being awarded today. But I would like to award the Bishop's Cross Award to Pastor Patronell Pat Staton Wright of the Total Experience Gospel Choir. Pastor Patronell Staton Wright is a Seattle treasure, being a sublime vocal soloist and the founder and director of the Total Experience Gospel Choir. She has made a difference in the lives of many African American youth and has bridged the gap for people of different races and beliefs through the power of music. Born in Carthage, Texas, to a father who was a Baptist preacher and a mother who was a school teacher, she began singing at the age of 3. Pastor Wright taught herself to play the piano and was directing 2 choirs in her father's church by the age of 14. In 1964, she relocated to Seattle, Washington, where she met and married her husband, the Reverend Benny Wright, a year later. In 1973, she founded the Total Experience Gospel Choir, traveling and performing in 38 states on 5 continents and 22 countries. In addition to performing up to 300 times a year, Pastor Wright led the choir to the Hurricane Katrina disaster area several times to help the victims and lift their spirits with music, providing financial support and the rebuilding of one home and remodeling of another. In May 2012, Pastor Wright and the choir took their musical ministry to Japan, returning multiple times and on one occasion bringing needed recovery supplies to the victims of a tsunami that had damaged many areas in the country. Patronell Wright's honorable life has been dedicated to helping others. And along the way, she has been repeatedly recognized and acknowledged for many of her altruistic achievements and contribution to the community. Some of the prestigious accolades she received include May 2007, ABC's World News Tonight acknowledged Wright's leadership by naming her the Person of the Week, followed by her selection as one of ABC's Persons of the Year. 2002 Seafair Queen, the Washington State Governor's Ethnic Heritage Award, the Martin Luther King Humanitarian Award, the Urban League's Edwin T. Pratt Award, the Woman in Communications Award, the Jefferson Award for Outstanding Community Service, the Seattle Center's 2005 Living Legend Award, the Woman of Color Empowered Community Mentoring and Legacy Award, the Women's University Club Brava Award, and the African American Jewish Coalition for Justice 2009 Appreciation Award, and many, many more awards and citations. In addition, Wright was named as an ambassador for the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women initiative in 2008. That same year, Seattle Metropolitan Magazine included her in a review of the, quote, 50 most influential musicians in the Northwest's past 100 years. And the following year saw the Puget Sound Business Journal honoring her as one of the region's women of influence. Pastor Patronell Wright retired the Total Experience Gospel Choir on the final anniversary at a packed Moore Theater in 2018. To ensure Pastor Wright's story is captured to inspire future generations, a full-feature documentary movie about her and her choir premiered at the Seattle International Film Festival. The film also screened at film festivals around the country. Among the many bridges she has built and then crossed in order to stem the many divides in our country, Pastor Pat has built many that have benefited people of faith. She is not officially an Episcopalian, but from the first time I met her at St. Mark's Cathedral, I've considered her one of the most honorary Episcopalians we have. For those many bridges, for her amazingly inclusive spirit and life, and in thanksgiving for our connection with her and all that she has taught us, it is my great honor to award Patronell Staton Wright the Bishop's Cross. We do not have a video. Pastor Pat is not doing as well these days, so keep her in your prayers. But I will tell this story. Some of you remember she came to our convention with the choir several years back, and she played and sang. And when she was finished, I gave these awards, the Bishop's Cross Awards. And when it was over, she hugged me and whispered in my ear, "I want one of those." And I've always looked for the opportunity to give her one of those. And so today I do, and I'm honored to do it. So virtual applause for Harry Anderson and for Pastor Patronell Wright. At this time, I'd like to give a couple more presentations. I think the last ones for this convention. This year marks the 10th year I've awarded the Keychain Employee Excellence, quote, "No Problem" Award. And I would like to award 2 of those this year. The first one to Molly Felder Grimm, St. Augustine's in the Woods, Freeland. St. Augustine's in the Woods have been so blessed by Molly Felder's ministry among us as parish administrator. Molly has been described as a warm, creative energizer bunny who nearly runs the place herself. Her genuinely gracious spirit is immediately welcoming and seems to melt problems away. The office runs like clockwork. She makes it look so easy that there's fear too much has been piled on her sometimes. "No worries," she says. "I can help you with that. I'll have it in a couple minutes." Countless times she has put her own work aside to help with an emergent need, and always with her sense of humor and characteristic charm. All of this was even before their rector of 19 years retired. As senior warden, during the months between rector and interim, Molly was leaned on heavily. She neither squirmed nor missed a beat. Grace under pressure manifest. So much extra work, mostly unseen and undernoticed. Then the church had a new interim to mentor. As the new person, Canon Joan asserts that Molly is invaluable to her and that 400 words are not nearly enough to describe what a treasure she is. Despite the additional load since January 2019, in the midst of her regular work, Molly has been reported to bolt outside when she sees a new face, to answer questions or offer a tour of our campus. She will rush to help an elderly member carry something or to warn drivers about the young deer in the woods. And we are fairly certain she has put herself on dishwashing duty for every parish event and most coffee hours for her entire 5 years there. She has moved furniture, dug to find things in the basement, coordinated volunteers on her days off, and more. Then came along COVID-19. Molly continues to operate with her usual joy and the spirit decor. Set up a home office and work from home. No worries. Need a camera person and a videographer? I can do that. This week, I have a teenager. He'll help me. Organist is ill. My husband and I can play and sing. Molly gives generously of her time and talents, far beyond the call of duty. "Let me do that for you," she says, and seems truly grateful to serve. She is professional, perceptive, humble, tireless, personable, faithful, and thoroughly meritorious. It is my pleasure to give this year's Keychain Award to Molly Felder Grimm.
Hi, my name is Molly, and I'm the parish administrator at St. Augustine's in the Woods Episcopal Church in Freeland, Washington, here on beautiful Whidbey Island. I'm still a bit flabbergasted that I'm receiving this wonderful Keychain Award when it should actually go to all of the members of the congregation at St. Augustine's. I don't think I've ever met a group of people more genuinely willing to share of their time and their talents, and I'm very grateful to have this job, and I just want to say thank you to all of you. I wish I could give you all a giant hug, and for now we'll just have to say I wish you well and thank you again. Bye.
Congratulations, Molly, and thank you. The final Keychain Award for this year goes to Eric Donner, St. Mark's Cathedral, Seattle. For several years, Eric Donner has worn many hats at the cathedral: executive assistant to the dean, manager of accounts receivable, stewardship and membership support liaison, office manager, and office volunteer coordinator. and the one who juggles many other responsibilities in this complex organization. He always engages his work with grace and goodwill for all whom he encounters, and he has the deft gift of engaging parishioners in communication about money with non-anxious presence, a commitment to confidentiality, and an eye toward the pastoral realities of people's relationship with money. He greets all people with respect and a desire to help, no matter who it is that person's with an issue. And on top of all that, he is a cathedral verger, acolyte, lector, altar guild member, and the spouse of Jenny, an equally gracious and active member of St. Mark's Cathedral. Eric epitomizes the, quote, no problem approach to his work as ministry, and we are grateful for his presence among us. It is my pleasure to give this year's Keychain Award to Eric Donner.
Thank you very much, Bishop Rickel. I'm touched and deeply honored to receive this award. It's quite a surprise. In reading about it, I saw that it's known as the No Problem Award, which is great. I always think of it as I'm happy to help in any way that I can. I'd like to thank my wonderful colleagues, and I love the parishioners at St. Mark's, and I'm especially grateful for my supervisor, Dean Steve Thomason. Steve's given me the opportunity to use my strengths on a daily basis, and he's a true partner in ministry. Again, I'm deeply honored. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric, for all you do. And because he is at the cathedral, he does a lot for the diocese and for the office of bishop too. So I appreciate you very much. You're very deserving of this. I believe this is the final award we're going to give. It's the Preaching Award. And incidentally, this was unanimous by all the judges. And it was certainly unanimous to me when I saw it the first time and when I read it this time. And it is a great honor and a privilege to give the Preaching Award for this year, 2020, to the Reverend Carla Robinson. And I don't think we even have a video because I think this might have been a surprise to her, but we congratulate her. And that sermon, if you have not seen it, we will post it because it was one of the best that I've ever seen. And anybody who's seen Carla preach knows that it would be. So Carla, congratulations. I believe there's some red hot cash that comes with this too, and you'll be getting that at a later time. Congratulations. Great sermon. And thank you to all who submitted sermons because they were equally excellent. And this is always hard for the judges. So thank you very much.